Thanks for inviting us in. It's now 11 o'clock. He spent years fighting to stop the violence here in Indy until it took his life. Now, nearly 1 year later, Ron G. Freisen's family and friends are working to keep his legacy alive. Alex Almanza shows us tonight how they want others to get involved.
What started with one man and a poster board has grown into a larger movement. Now Ron G's daughter and his closest allies are calling on community members to step up and finally make a change.
Before there were marches, before the slogans, there was community activist Ron G. walking, talking, and preaching peace.
In 2016, it was just him. He hopped on the bus, grabbed the poster board, and just stopped the violence.
On July 18th of last year, he became a victim of the same violence he tried to end. Now his family and friends are organizing Ceasefire Indy Day, a citywide pause for peace on the anniversary of his death.
We wanted people to come out today to see if they can be a part of our event that we're going to have at 38th and Arlington at the gas station where it happened at, or if they just want to host their own events in their own communities.
On Tuesday, they met to plan and pick up where he left off, relaunching the program that he started.
Nobody's a stranger. Like, we all could be friends, associates, whatever, but we're all fighting for the same thing, for the same cause.
After a weekend of back-to-back shootings, organizers say the timing couldn't be more urgent.
It just showed, or just put a mirror up to the areas of opportunity that's in our communities for us to kind of mobilize a little more, be more aware, be more active, proactive.
Organizers say the message is simple: peace takes people, and the movement needs more of them.
We were put on this earth to die for natural causes, not because somebody woke up one day and decided to shoot a gun, whether you meant to kill them or not.
Organizers say this is more than just honoring Ron G's legacy. It's about stopping the cycle of violence within our city. In Indianapolis, Alex Almanza, 13 News.
And now to Colorado tonight, where Barry Morphw was back in court, charged again with the death of his wife, Indiana native Suzanne Morphw. That court hearing lasted about a half hour today, with attorneys discussing several issues, including a possible conflict of interest between Morphw and the public defender's office. 3 years ago, prosecutors dropped their first case against Morphw just days before the trial began because of prosecutorial issues with evidence. All of this dates back to 2020. That's when Suzanne Morphw disappeared on Mother's Day. Her remains were discovered 3 years later in Colorado. A 2024 autopsy ruled her death a homicide. There was no indication of trauma, but a drug cocktail used to tranquilize wildlife was found in her bones. Then last month, a new indictment that claims that Barry Morphw was the only private citizen in that area of Colorado with access to those drugs. Barry Morphw tonight is being held on a $3 million bond. He's due back in court in September. Morphew's attorney says Barry Morphw maintains his innocence. Well, July 1st is now coming to an end, and that means new Indiana laws are now in effect tonight. One law impacts one of our state's Medicaid programs, the Healthy Indiana Plan, or HIP. This gives health insurance to Hoosiers between 19 and 64 years old. The latest numbers from the Indiana Family Social Services Administration shows HIP covers nearly 650,000 Hoosiers. This new law establishes more frequent eligibility reviews, and it also requires HIP recipients to provide documentation showing that they are working or volunteering 20 hours a week, with some exceptions. Advocates for Medicaid recipients worry it could actually lead to Hoosiers losing benefits.
We estimate that should this provision be implemented, hundreds of thousands, probably about 150,000 Hoosiers, could lose their health care coverage simply because the process of reporting and demonstrating eligibility is very labor intensive and prone to error.
Since HIP is funded by both the state and federal governments, Indiana needs the federal government's permission before it rolls out the work documentation requirement. So that provision does not go into effect right away. New speed limit signs are getting installed tonight along I-465. Now drivers can go 65 miles per hour instead of 55 along most of the interstate loop. You can expect to see more police officers, though, monitoring for violations. IMPD and state police are telling us tonight they are now increasing patrols. The Marion County prosecutor told us the higher speed limit is not a free pass for dangerous driving. In Washington, D.C., the House of Representatives is now taking up President Donald Trump's sprawling domestic policy bill after a narrow victory in the Senate.
The Senate being evenly divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative. The bill as amended is passed.
There's Vice President J.D. Vance casting the deciding vote today. 3 Republicans voted against the measure, leading to the 50-50 split. So in this bill, a laundry list of GOP priorities: tax breaks, spending cuts, and new money for national defense and deportations. Right now, lawmakers in the House must pass the bill before the president can sign it. GOP leaders want it approved and to the White House by July 4th.
We had a big day today. The bill passed, and I think it's going to do very well in the House. We'll see how that works out, but looks like it's ahead of schedule. See what happens. Happy about it.
Last Sunday, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office said the bill would nearly add $3.3 trillion to the nation's debt load from 2025 to 2034. The analysis also found that more than 11 million Americans would become uninsured by the year 2034 if this bill passes. Angela?
Scott, skies are clear and it's a milder night. We already have a couple of locations in the 60s right now. 68 in Kokomo, 69 in Muncie. We have 70 in Richmond and Shelbyville. Currently 74 degrees in Bloomington under those clear skies. Bloomington down a couple of degrees from this time yesterday. We're down 7 in Muncie and Kokomo and Shelbyville, and down 8 in Terre Haute. That's the 24-hour temperature change. Morning numbers 60 to 65 with afternoon sunshine. We get to 87 degrees tomorrow and 88 on Thursday, ahead of the 90s returning later this week.